In this video, I'm going to share why adding more content into your book isn't the best idea and what you should do instead in order to make your book exceptional and something that stands out in the marketplace and customers rave about. How you can add something else instead of content. Hey, my name is Bogdan, author of 6 Day Publish and founder of Mind Success Lab. And here's one of the big myths when it comes to book writing and book creation is that if you add more content in, it's all about packing more and more content into the book. The matter of the fact is, it's not about adding more content. One of the best ways for you to write a great book, not just an ordinary book, a great book, is to stop focusing so much on content and focus on something far greater: context. If you research and study the greatest books in most of the educational and how-to fields, the greatest books, they're not the ones that have the most content in them, have the most context. You see, content and telling someone to do something isn't going to inspire them. It's not going to empower them, and it's not going to, in most cases, get them to take a certain action. What is context. So what is context? Context is stories. Context is metaphors. It's all of the things that people write in books and we see when we read books that are in there that help amplify the content. Context helps amplify the content. As in, okay, instead of me sharing, if there's two examples, I could share with you about the lesson that you need to focus on learning, because learning is one of the most important skills. I could tell you that, but chances are if I just tell you that as in content, you're very unlikely to actually take action on that. Compared to if I shared a story, a success story about what this principle has done in my life, and I share that story and that metaphor and that case study, and then I tell you the lesson, it's far more effective. So what is context? Here are a few things that context is made up of. Your stories and parables. So if you have a lesson, how can you add a story into that lesson, even if it's a non-fiction book, even if it's educational? It's about the story to amplify the content. Sharing a story. So instead of you teaching people, okay, here's one principle to become rich, it's about you sharing, okay, here's the story and how I used this principle or didn't use this principle and didn't get the result. Here's the learning. Then people, because they know your story, they know the context, are far more likely to be inspired and then take action upon that content. That same lesson, different context. So it's not about loading of content, it's about how can you add context. I talk to my high ticket coaching clients, share this analogy all the time. It's a dance. Every chapter is a dance between engagement and content. Engagement as in stories and case studies and everything that context entitles, everything that helps amplify your message. So that is stories, metaphors, as in, okay, here's a metaphor, because learning, getting people to learn is getting them to tie a link between what they know and what they don't. So metaphors, stories, case studies, other things that inspire them, quotes, all of this stuff, this context around your content. So I hope I banged on about that. Context is greater than content. Content, you need it, but you need to amplify it. So it's not about loading of content, it's how can you add more context. So if you're watching this, chances are you have an idea or a book that you're already working on. How can you add more context? Meaning, how can you take your key lessons that you want people to extract and turn them into stories, into context? How can you weave in engagement so that people can relate and take those lessons deeper, take action above them, and then rave about your book and share it with everyone they know? So there you go. It's not just about content, it's about context. Context is far greater for amplifying content and sharing your message.